Family of Light by Barbara Marciniak. Chapter 7, Empire of the Mind. This fleeting moment of time between 1987 and 2037 involves rediscovering ancient hidden ideas and examining what you have built your foundation on, and perhaps reorganizing it. Further consideration of how you have developed as a society and a culture may show that a great dismantling is necessary. We remind you to do the dismantling in your mind, allowing the old structures and belief systems, which are at the core of modern-day political and educational thinking, to dissolve on their own. Without blame or anger, realize that you are in the midst of a perceptual shift. If you proceed in this way, the new energies will harmonize with your biological being. However, if you hold to ideas that are no longer vital and alive, you will find it very challenging to maintain your vitality and, dare we say, your life. Changes of energies have a purpose. As we have said, everything has a frequency, and some frequencies are compatible and some incompatible with your being. Yet, the more you grow in consciousness and maintain the frequency of love, the more you will be able to transmute the incompatible frequencies into harmless energies. As you expand into the being that we are eliciting, you will have more energy, power, and love inside yourself, and the forms of toxicity outside you will no longer have free rein with your field. A higher vibration or frequency is created by the way in which you integrate and establish peace throughout your four bodies: spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical. Once this occurs, your frequency of self-assured, self-producing love and peace and centeredness negates any harmful outside frequencies. Life is changing at an accelerating rate, and you are here to become the winds of change, not fight the winds of change. Perhaps you are reflecting on the words and ideas we Pleiadians pull through the dimensions to place on the buffet table for your nourishment. We ask you once again to consider what your life has been teaching you lately. What has your body been saying? What are your mirrors around you telling you? And how have you interacted with it all? And now that you know yourself a little more than you did before, ideally you can step back and, in your knowingness, release all judgments. If you feel that an area of your life needs attention, or if you feel that you have slipped into patterns of experience or behavior you wish to avoid, then be aware of it. It is in these areas you will be tested again and again to see if you can literally change your old behavior responses. Relax. There is no passing or failing these tests. You have done well to move this far on the journey of Earth in these times of momentous change, times which are sought out like hidden treasure by us extra-dimensionals. Explorers and divers on your planet travel the continents and oceans, following old maps and reading old legends, searching for buried treasure and artifacts of value, books of antiquity, or lost cities. Everyone has been in search of something. Your planet Earth is held in similar regard by certain entities, and it is this particular point in time that is a gem, a hidden treasure in the book of existence, and not merely Earth throughout all probable times. Gems of time are sought out because they hold something of unique value. You currently place value on material objects, and this has become such a focus of humankind that you have abdicated the power of rational thinking. Your institutions train you to become producers for a system that cannot even produce enough, a system based on producing more and more and throwing away more and more into the garbage. As a result of giving your authority to others and believing what you have been told, rather than thinking and feeling for yourselves, you are overexpanding in the physical world, too focused on material comforts, and in the process you are destroying your environment, or so it appears. Rampant, mindless materialism separates you from the library of Earth found in nature, which is your connection to the Great Mother. As you expand your confidence and apply the new ideas springing forth in you, beep. As you expand your spiritual confidence and apply the new ideas springing forth in you, you will have many unique experiences. At first it may appear that you are alone in your expanded perspective, and if that is the case, it is important to feel good about that, because self-realization can only be done by the self in the core of your being. If you are fortunate enough to be connected with other people from the beginning of this process, then perhaps you will go through your isolation period later, but you will need it. However you are experiencing the discovery of who you are, it is important to grow, allowing your geisha fan of consciousness to unfold completely. By now you have probably reflected on yourself, your bloodline, your purpose for being, as well as the reason you continue to journey with us, the Pleiadians. In your inner reflection, we ask you to go further while you listen to our words, to imagine yourselves into the past and into the future, to journey both to the time of Mu and Atlantis, and into the age of Aquarius. The infinity sign, the numeral 8, sideways over your third eye, can act as a transport center. So electrify and energize this symbol above your eyes, especially where the lines join at the third eye space between your brows. Drift into this process, and seeing the two vistas, the ancient past on one side and the near future on the other. Harmonize them, for both places exist simultaneously now. Remain focused in the now. Notice your body, your breathing, the energy rushing through your physical form as we hold the doorway ajar, a window of time open for you in both locations at once, here and now. Coming from the age of Aquarius, why would you return to this now? And if you were from Mu or Atlantis, why would you choose this point in time to be reborn? Holding these two avenues of time open in your mind and forgetting that you are from Earth, see if you can tune into why entities from other points in time want to enter into this fleeting moment. What would be the spiritual purpose? Breathe deeply in and hold it. Let it out. And consider that the spiritual purpose these two groups of time jumpers have in common is hunting treasure here and now. Little old planet Earth, a treasure? What could that treasure be? This treasure is not so evident. Treasures usually are hidden after all. Perhaps you have traveled through sites of antiquity on your planet, and they appear to exist in your current reality, the year in which you visit them. However, in actuality, all time exists in every moment, in every direction. Even the place you are currently occupying has layers of other worlds and other times, only separated by their frequencies. It is frequency modulation that allows you to enter these worlds and times. Why do you think time jumpers are coming to your world, and what are they looking for? We dare say that they are here to affect your frequencies. Some of them want to raise them. Some of them don't. An opportunity exists for all of existence to experience the frequency that you are all producing and the energy that you are. Participating in the unfolding within you of a unique version of reality where the closed fan can completely open in the blink of an eye. The belt and band of existence through which your science notes frequencies is called the electromagnetic spectrum. You exist as a frequency on that band, and, like a radio signal, you can be located. However, your frequency is beginning to expand beyond your customary band, although the dial does not turn too far just yet. As you step forward into the age of Aquarius, you will begin to gain full access to a much expanded spectrum of frequencies, which is your birthright and your destiny, and why it is so exciting for us to watch what you do with this opportunity. We are time jumpers who enter your reality and change time. That is what some time jumpers do. Your world exists like a piece of Swiss cheese with holes permeating the field of existence. And Family of Light is here to mend some of those holes, those tears in the etheric fields where other energies have entered to wreak havoc with you. As entities operating from a third-dimensional perspective, you do not perceive the pollution your own thoughts have created in the etheric realms. For their own reasons, many other forms of intelligence have come here to watch this version of your world movie that will unfold to possibly a very high frequency when you utilize your full brain capacity and access the band of consciousness that is your sovereign divinity. Through the process of rapid and drastically accelerating change, some people will forget why they are here, and they will continue to believe scenarios of lack and limitation and control by fear. This lack of awareness is like a great mountainous blindfold that you must remove. How will you transmit the new energies so other people can feel the potential pathways? Many humans believe they are not capable of hacking their way into the new territory, and that is why Family of Light, time jumpers extraordinaire, creators of change, rearrangers of systems of consciousness, and therefore existence itself, are here. The Family of Light are here to pioneer new pathways of consciousness evolution. Once you discover some of the so-called harbors of consciousness, you must then move inland to the new territory inside your mind. You must become extremely focused on what occurs around you all of the time. Everything is a code, a message, and has many, many meetings and many plans within plans. You are designed to expand into a much higher state of awareness, to move the tuning dial on the electromagnetic radio spectrum of your mind from where you have been located for eons, living in the lower 3-chakra band of frequency. The energies of change and the shifts of consciousness propelled by cosmic forces have come to expand you. And as you expand, you must consider many more possibilities, most of which you cannot even imagine. This new territory will be undecipherable at first because you may journey into this new spectrum of opportunity and apply your old belief systems once you get there. Remember, many of the explorers who left the European continent 500 years ago set out looking for one thing and did not know when they found another. And when they made this discovery, they did not always understand it because they superimposed their old ideas and expectations onto the new world. The indigenous peoples who encountered these waves of explorers were hard-pressed to hold on to their connection to the great Gaian goddess Mother Earth. But they did. You can conceive of this expansion of your people that occurred 500 years ago because you have studied it in school, and know that the age of exploration has been extensive on this planet. Now it appears to many people that your world is full, and that every nook, cranny, and crevice has been explored. Do not be fooled by this notion. The world is still a place of mystery, holding a multitude of territories that have never been explored. You are like the drop of water that considers itself whole, yet is part of the great ocean. You have to expand to understand that you are connected to something truly massive. Consciousness. Earth's mysteries are pulsating and ready to unfold now, to share with you her own book of knowledge that holds many secrets. The core ideas you have studied in school about the age of the Earth and the development of civilization, the core ideas that you have studied in school about the age of Earth and the development of civilization will be completely discredited in the next coming years, because a rapid acceleration of learning is occurring and inexplainable things are being found. Some of you may say, well, I've already thrown out my history books and I don't pay attention to that anymore. We are speaking of a global expansion of consciousness and realization resulting from a few pioneers willing to reinterpret and make new roads of possibility into the realm of consciousness. Your co-humans will seek out new roads because the ideas you pursue are fresh and vital and alive. Ideally, as the consciousness of Earth unfolds, you will interpret your role as that of extremely precious beings, every human. As you establish a newer, higher balance within your own being, consider that every human is coded to change. Those willing to be the pioneers will set the paths of frequency and make the highways and byways. Ideally, you will not all cluster together, yet will still realize that you are all part of one gigantic potential, where you are all significant, where your value of each individual is priceless, and most of all, where you understand what this value actually means. The treasure is your ability to manifest yourselves as frequency entities, to span a much higher band of the electromagnetic spectrum, to live in it and to dance it, as time jumpers eventually, understanding that you can change the frequency you hold in your being, and that by changing it, you can access other worlds. We remind you that it is essential for you to build strength and love. We remind you that it is essential for you to build a strong physical body filled with love for the you who has an address and a name, the you who came through the birth canal of a human mother. This is the you to whom we appeal, the one who is completely and totally ensconced, addressed, and located in 3D and beyond. Whatever you are doing, you are part of an enormous treasure. And if you are drawn to our words and follow this journey, then rest assured that whatever you are dealing with in your 3D life is helping you to unfold to that place of expansion where you will understand the laws of frequency and vibration. Perhaps the plants will help teach you, or the animals, or maybe you will become psychic with your family, friends, or co-workers. We promise you, you will begin to know things at a much deeper level. Your ancestors are calling to you, and the possibilities that may have seemed vague and distant will eventually become very real. Sometimes you get stuck by over-focusing on the how something will happen, rather than putting your attention on what you want to occur. It is important for you to emphasize what you want. I want to be healthy. I want to be creative. I want to meet more people and have more meaningful work. I want more abundance. I want to travel and explore the opportunities that exist in the world. I want love. I want new ideas. These statements set the direction for your arrows of intent, allowing the unfolding of multidimensional consciousness to be attracted to you according to the vibration in your field. It is essential for you to grasp that you are multidimensional entities, and you will not travel the electromagnetic spectrum as your 3D earthling body, or not in the way you currently perceive yourselves anyways. Beep! Or not in the way you currently perceive yourselves anyway. Remember those explorers who went from a flat Earth to a round world view. They imposed their own paradigm on what they saw rather than allowing the indigenous people to teach them another worldview. Your ancestors did not always have a language for their multidimensional travels. There are no billboards and road signs, no stoplights, and no rules of traffic or travel. This is an unlicensed area, and no one is regulating or testing you to be allowed to travel there. This is uncharted in your mind. And yet your ancestors had to build wooden sailing ships to traverse the physical oceans to discover the new world they were seeking, whereas you are now building ships in your mind. Or perhaps ships are appearing in your skies, and in the minds of others from the age of Atlantis, perhaps. What are these time jumpers looking for? We dare say they are looking for you and what you can produce. You are fascinating creatures, there is no doubt about it. You have a tendency to maintain and stick to what you find. Most of you are very slow to change, and once you do change, you hold on to those new changes like a crab clasping with its claws. You hold on so tight. It appears that if you can be stimulated to shift into a frequency that will change the way you experience the world, you will learn to maintain this frequency. This you can do. You must. The challenge is in dismantling the old frequencies. Yet many of the cosmic weather changes coming your way are designed to assist you in this process. If the headline on the news said, "Comet here to shift consciousness," that statement in itself would shift consciousness. You are so programmable that whatever you see in print or on the TV, you believe. For this is part of your nature to believe, which is why we appeal to you to have more discernment and create your fate. As your multidimensional self unfolds, you will be aware of many timelines and many potentials. You will contact the Egyptian Ka energy, or what we could call the fiduciary. The fiduciary will act in the capacity of a manager, as a multidimensional intelligence, a liaison who conducts the flow of knowledge and energy into your being, watching so that your circuits do not get jammed, so you can span the electromagnetic spectrum and keep your experiences in order. This fiduciary or administrator or liaison can be known as your higher self, or perhaps a guardian angel. And this entity will facilitate your process of consciousness evolution. You are listening to this voice right now. This intelligence has many names and takes on many shapes and is part of your energetic reality. Once you shift your frequency and build your vibration outside and inside of yourself, you will begin to connect with these other forms of intelligence that are also you. The fiduciary exists as a wayshore, an internal travel guide between sites of being and sites of existence. Most of you have traveled to physical parks, sacred sites, or recreational areas, and you often find a ranger or a guide, somebody pointing out the highlights and happenings of the area you are visiting. Well, imagine that there is an entity already inside you, an energy, a vast, unified, collective voice that exists for each one of you as a focal point from where your psychological and emotional expansion is managed, so that you are not left fluttering in the winds of a hurricane, tossed around in the waters and tumbled upside down. You are safe. You are loved. You are connected. The fiduciary, in actuality, can assist you in holding and moving your opening geisha fan of consciousness, showing you which direction to turn and modulating the frequencies that contain events or vibrations or people within a certain period or experience or time. Your personal name is part of your frequency. So can be your nickname and your birthday on various calendars. Identifying yourself as humans create a frequency. Even your physical address, your social security number, and everything used to relate to the outer world are a part of your frequency, as well as whatever you say and think about yourself, and that's a lot. Some of you have become over-focused, repeating certain frequencies within your field by identifying again and again with the same old life experiences. And as a result, your fields of energy have become quite dull and repetitive and devitalized. If you do not fill your energetic field with new experiences, new ideas, and new versions of yourself, your field becomes dim and worn, bored with the same old story. Once you have explored the depth of healing inside yourself and examined what you need to heal, move on. Create new stories. And if you feel you must tell the old ones, tell them a bit differently each time. Change your perspective on what you think happened. Most of you have repeated the same old stories about yourself over and over again. But be aware that you are missing an opportunity to gather another perspective from those potential gems of experience. All of your memories, all of your traumas, all of your joys, all of your ecstasies, all of your tragedies, all of your crises, all of your triumphs. When you speak of your experiences, intend to gain a new perspective on them by sharing them. Intend to hold a more expanded view of your life and to see what the story can become. If you would each approach your lives in this manner, then when Earth relinquishes her hidden secrets, you will learn a different story about yourself once again. The time jumpers in general are not here for gold and artifacts, although a few want to discover hidden texts and codices. Some wish to hide gems, and some wish to change others that are here. Many are here to experience or affect your frequency, to modulate it in support of your expansion, while others seek to create chaos and confusion. The Earth knows these designs and is timed to perfection for her own unfolding. No matter how much the weather control or destruction of the environment you wreak upon this great sphere of living consciousness, Goddess Gaia will still relinquish to you a greater story about yourselves. Places where you originally thought civilization had sprung forth will be reconsidered. We mentioned that the area known as the Fertile Crescent was attractive to the gods because there was plenty of water, the topography kept people separated, and it was easy to map. However, there were other great waterways on your planet, and civilizations always flourish around great waterways and rivers. As we look through the pages of timelines and see the probabilities that have unfolded, those of you who seek to understand your ancestors and the true meaning of living have already created a powerful force. Goddess Gaia feels this energy and will soon relinquish antiquities and discoveries in the North American continent and the Central American continent and the South American continent along certain riverways that will shock the world. Heavy rains and flooding will wear away existing structures to reveal hidden secrets and show that the season of change is upon you once again. In your day-to-day life, use common sense and respect, because the years ahead will host a great play of nature where she will vie for your attention, just as the cable television stations and the internet vie for your subscriptions. So too will Mother Nature. She will want you to sign up and subscribe to her channel and pay attention daily just by walking outside, sitting down, closing your eyes, and feeling. So if she howls or rages outside your door, pay attention, for she is calling to say, "I have a message for you. Change is here." And the change is not necessarily a change of neighborhood or a job or your marriage or death appearing on your doorstep, but it might be. Mother Nature's change is based on a frequency change within her and within you, your habits, your actions, and the way you participate in life. The fiduciary will hook you up, becoming your own version of the internet, and it is connected to Mother Nature's channel. And her distribution of intelligent entities will be administered for you, and everything will make perfect sense. It is now possible for many of you to have this energetic link-up by simply building trust inside yourselves and unconditional trust of Goddess Gaia. You must build faith in the administrator, the fiduciary, for without that faith you cannot have the service. As you perceive more, it is important to understand that although entities can appear in your field as solid beings, they may simply be riding the wave of frequency, matching frequency to frequency, appearing as real when they are actually merely holograms. You too will eventually be able to travel to places that appear real, yet your journey on the electromagnetic spectrum, facilitated by your fiduciary, may actually be a holographic experience. You must explore the idea of holograms. What can be made? What can be developed? As with human cloning, holograms are nothing new. Everything your culture claims to discover is a repetition of what your ancestors throughout time already had possession of. However, an artistry will spring forth, and you will wonder who planted the seeds and where this garden of magnificence could have come from. This is a probability awaiting you. Look for that vibration and decide if you want to be in a renaissance of consciousness where you unfold and tap into the abilities that your ancestors held. And when you agree to participate, Goddess Gaia will reveal her layers of timelines to you. As we said earlier, where you sit right now, many worlds exist, coupled and piled one upon the other, yet each isolated and separate, full in its own integrity, unique and safe. How can so many dimensions of time share one space? How can so many lives and so many forms of intelligence all share one body and one mind? You may think of it like the internet, with every single address all at once, each with a different show. That the technology you are developing at such a rapid rate and the secret technology hidden from you are merely reflections of your own internal abilities. Remember, as you move through the geisha fan of time, that everything can begin to splinter and fracture or fold up and fold up, resulting in too many abstract pieces or too much uniformity, like the frayed ends of a fabric or a stuck brick. For this reason, it is essential that you keep yourselves woven together. We have said often enough that you are here to learn to live, and that living will become a whole new experience. There is no reason to be frightened of the coming changes, although fear, fright, and hell on earth will be expounded and sold in greater measure than ever before. This 50-year period from 1987 to 2037 is a test of how far you can go into forgetting, and in the same lifetime, bridging and reclaiming full memory. That may appear to you like family of dark forgetting and family of light remembering. However, your global management team, considered by most to be family of Darktilians, and the secret rulers of your planet seem to remember so much more than the average member of the family of light. These Darktilians know all about multidimensionality, and that is the difference between you and them. They deal with the invisible realms because they have kept the secret knowledge for themselves. Your gods have disappeared in the Piscean Age, and it is only the family of light who has forgotten and replaced them all with one angry old man. So now you must remember what the family of dark has known all along, and come into balance with this knowledge, seeing the world you share with one another. You will be challenged to redefine what you consider light and dark, good and bad. On your own, you may be baffled by this task, so keep your eyes open and keep your heart open, and see the connections made by and pointed out by your fiduciary. Listen very carefully to the voice of spirit, the Ka, that vague, ephemeral quality the Egyptians so valued, the still, quiet voice within. The voice of the fiduciary has its existence in many aspects of the electromagnetic spectrum, leading to many timelines and probable worlds. This is an aspect of multidimensional existence that you are just beginning to access and acknowledge. Picture your own inner administrator and imagine that a vast order of knowledge is being settled upon you now. We Pleiadians can assist in this energy transfer because it is a frequency we broadcast, giving you the opportunity to vibrate with and hold a higher level for yourselves. And it is your will and intent that will switch it on like a light. Learn to listen to your higher self and feel the organization of intelligence that seeks you out, that calls you to know so much more, and leads you to explore 3D living in such a way that the 5D magic unfolds before your eyes. It has always been here. The discovery of the clues to living and the Earth's true significance is not merely a journey for a few or special people. In this time, it is the task for all humanity to awaken to their sovereign divinity. As you contemplate your life and feel a change occurring inside, what frequency will you create for the earth? What civilizations will you leave for your descendants to record? What legends and myths and feats of renown will they write about you? Remember, you have already been written about, backward and forward in time, and at this time you come back to this now to gather more experience and to change your potential future timelines. Our words may have you wondering about the continuity of time. If time can be entered at any moment from so many different directions, how stable is it? Time only appears to you to be quite consistent and reliable. You just have to look in your history books to confirm it. Yet, as you begin to unfold your fan, you will see that not only can you expand your consciousness into time, but all characters in time who can find the right frequency and who desire to be pioneers and treasure hunters can seek out the frequency band of Earth during this 50-year period. And what is your individual job in all of this maneuvering? To let everyone jump in? To forget yourselves? Or are you a treasure? Something truly profound springs from this nanosecond of existence that is currently just out of reach, yet on the cusp of revolutionizing human existence. Become aware of yourself as a supremely valuable being, as everyone else is too. Knowing that your every thought seeds the future. As family of light, we look into the book of Earth and remind you that the frequency you are looking to build is one of unconditional love, unconditional trust, and unconditional forgiveness. Your ancestors did not always love the beings they met when their multidimensional selves unfolded, and they were often at war with them. The gods came and filled the heavens with darkness and smoke and fire. They also came and filled the heavens with song and light and love. Entities are very attracted to you by your frequencies. Frequencies seek similar frequencies. As family of light, you are here to create a frequency of healing and balance around the whole earth. You are here to take the highest opportunity possible, and you are here to take on the most difficult tasks and raise the frequency from one of despair and fear and lack to one of great ecstasy and love and pride. Once this occurs and you have established Earth in this new vibration, you'll experience 1,000 years of peace, of which your stories and legends speak. You may think someone else is going to save you and create this peace, a Messiah, or ancestors from the heavens, or aliens, fixing your problems and giving you solutions to all of your poisons and pollutions. In truth, this second coming that you have been awaiting is the coming of the consciousness evolution. Again and again throughout the ages, a quickening occurs that offers the possibility to hold knowledge and to be responsible, to be a creator. There are many beings in the heavens who applaud you, and we see 8 billion new gods potentially arising on the earth. What energy, what vitality! 8 billion new gods! Who will manage them? Will they weave themselves together, or will they become a frayed fabric, a tangled mess, destroying themselves, or collapsing into a brick? We share these metaphors and ideas with you as tales and imaginings, as stories that compel you to reflect upon your own living. Why you live. Why everything is so intense. And why every industry and every job is crumbling in some way. The newness that springs forth sometimes outgrows itself by the next afternoon, and brilliant ideas to make billions one day are seen as bankrupt the next. You are experiencing the expansion of human genius. A defined line has always existed between genius and insanity. Please be clear about this. Genius and insanity, light and dark, yin and yang, good and evil are all two sides of the same coin. You may flick from one side to the other to know the fine balance between them, which is actually what you are seeking, the place where you know light and where you know dark. And resist neither and crave neither. For by maintaining balance of these frequencies, you support your connection to the whole with the same energy of Prime Creator. Like a parent, knowing that your children will all grow up just fine. This frequency of real wholeness is a feeling of peace within yourself, a feeling of knowing your ancestors, knowing your past, knowing your present and your future lives and all of the probable lives you could have ever lived. You would recognize all the choices you did not make and all those that were made and that you lived. The marriages, the schools, the jobs, the travelings and moves, every single thing is perfect. Everything in your life is part of your multidimensional inheritance that the energy of the administrator, the Ka, your higher self, can assist you to integrate. This energy is a voice of kindness, a voice that honors you, a part of yourself that assists the you who wants to state what you are and yet needs support in dealing with your development and growth. The plan for the family of light and for all those who care to come to planet Earth in this entry into the age of Aquarius is to have a good time. Sometimes Family of Light used to play the martyr, as they did at the bridge of the Aryan Age and the Piscean Age, and all through the Piscean Age, where a tremendous number of martyrs appeared. Martyrdom is now over, and a playful respect for being human with no offense to others is your ticket to translate your vast, multi-dimensional inheritance. Remember that you may not know at first where some of your abilities and ideas and talents are derived from. Yet truly a renaissance is upon you, and one so profound as to be recorded in the permanent annals of time. You are being watched to see what you will build as frequency modulators and creators of the mind. As you build the spans of your bridge into the age of Aquarius, it is essential that you know who you are and what you want, and that you not be afraid of yourself as you encounter others, family, friends, lovers, and partners, and all of the various beings that occupy other roles in your lives. Once again, we remind you that this process of change is not designed to destabilize humankind. It is designed to rebuild the core of your being holistically so that you can truly become the magnificent beings your ancestors know you will be. Over the eons, you have been influenced by numerous forms of intelligent life, and they will all return now, each of your influencers, in one way or another, to combine their energies with you once again and to see what you will create. Your influencers have taken human as well as non-human form. Beings of great power that once walked your earth, the conquerors, the kings, the queens, the popes, the presidents, and other people of renown, have incarnated once again to open their bag of magic tricks in order to live and learn a lesson or two. The gods and all creatures from the heavens, taking various shapes and names and guises and disguises, from angel to reptilian, are all here in your world as they were in the world of your ancestors. Remember, the experiences your ancestors had with your multidimensional relatives could not be written in most cases, since often there were no words to describe what was occurring. To depict their experiences, your ancestors did leave signs and symbols, often carved in stone, as important information to leave for you. Symbols help you understand abstract concepts based on direct experience that cannot always be translated into words. As you expand in your ability to produce and experience various frequencies, the simple act of running your hand over any of these ancient symbols, stars, suns, moons, serpents, geometric shapes, squiggly lines and dots, even just closing your eyes and making those shapes with your fingers could be enough to open the library doors where symbols will become a whole lesson, like an encyclopedia of knowledge based on frequency. When you emit your frequency while looking at or creating these symbols in your mind, it can open an area of knowledge that your ancestors left to prepare you for this current time of opportunity and change. You are unfolding rapidly now like a deck of cards, endlessly fanned and rippled. In every second of your existence, you move quickly towards opening to more energy. Look around and be grateful for who you see. Seek to learn from one another, because it is through your relationships with each other that you qualify for new relationships with multidimensional beings. You must remember that Earth is a treasure, sought out and hunted for on the lines of time, and you have something of immense value to offer. So be proud of who and what you are and what you can do. A priceless quality is unfolding in you, so be alert to who you are and be grateful to be alive. The immensity of this task is almost beyond description. It is as if you, all of you, are journeying down the birth canal, squished and pressured for the last 2,000 years to move from where you are so uncomfortable, yet your will and desire to be alive has pushed you out. The thrust of birth that a child experiences is part of a natural movement into your world. It is essential for you to understand that as you explore your relationship to the natural world you populate and create, you must examine your methods of reproduction. Cloning is not a solution. The act of sexual intercourse imprints the cells, and without it, a certain vitality is lost. You may not discover this loss for many years. You may eat genetically altered plants and animals, and then discover a long time later that the vital substance was missing all along. Those who clone humans, and have for a while, wonder why the clones are never quite up to snuff. It's because they were not created with the act of sex. And while it is true that humans can be born out of a violent sexual act, there is still a vitality, a thrusting, a coming together with a passionate stir of energy that imprints life in a way that must have been chosen by that soul, whether lovingly or violently. Place no judgment on the act. However, when life is created by an electronic probe in a petri dish in a sterile laboratory, that life does not have the same vitality as a life created naturally. Yes, people are having difficulty producing children these days. Sperm counts are down, and women suffer from nerves and anxiety over not living up to the icon of the Barbie doll. A lot of people no longer enjoy the sexual process. In some cases, sex has become merely an act to attempt to create children, in order to get on with the business of buying things for them and extending the family line and building bigger houses to hold their new stuff, thus initiating children into a system that continues to destroy and deplete the earth. Far too many humans have forgotten how to live as vital sexual beings. You have forgotten that it is essential to honor your sexuality. We ask those of you who will be creators of life in the coming generations to produce a frequency in your body that will establish a higher vibration of love, one that will open new timelines to new entities who wish to incarnate here. Invite the souls you wish to birth into your field. Guarantee them love, and you will call in the high-frequency keepers of love who have been waiting to be born. Welcome your children and let them know that you are willing to learn from them as well as about the vibration of love and how to produce it in unlimited abundance together. We appeal to you to populate the earth with people who maintain a very high vibration, and to do so means taking care of all children, not just your own DNA. Start to really observe all children you encounter, and send them all a frequency that lets them know you are happy they are here. Today's children are all frequency projectors and modulators extraordinaire, and with each new year, children are born gifted with greater ability to hold higher and higher frequencies. These children will not be satisfied with worn-out ways of poisonous toys. So do not harm them by subjecting them to a system of medical care that works on fear rather than healing. Your children often take on the difficulties you have been holding in your own field and failed to clear, especially the problems that you avoid. Pay special attention to what your children are telling you, especially before they can speak. Everything is important. The empire of the mind is vast, calling you from every continent and every direction. All of the gods who left their footprints on earth in all timelines, those whose names are known and those whose names are unknown, are all returning. This is why many of you now feel impulsed to visit new sacred sites. Because the gods held their events and staged their dramas at many of the ancient stone temples and pyramids on your planet. When you visit these sites, you appear to be a third-dimensional human traveler, while your multi-dimensional selves participate in dramas from another time in the same space. Versions of yourself remember what else you have been, what sandals you wore, what food you ate, what perfumes you smelled, how you styled your hair, and the color of your skin as you changed your human costumes again and again, just as the earth changes her seasons. The multidimensional heavenly realms present an opportunity, so do not be afraid of what will appear. The light of comets and celestial bodies and other flying machines and shapes and swirls and spirals and streaks and flashes will punctuate your skies, and you will not always be certain what is transpiring. There are many means and ways in which celestial symbols and signatures can be produced: electronic, holographic, and otherwise. In early 21st century Earth, you have invented devices with which to project images into the skies, joining the time jumpers arriving from Mu and Atlantis and the Age of Aquarius, as well as those who come from other dimensions and other star systems, bringing their own technologies with them. The movie of existence is unfolding, and entities from everywhere are bringing their media equipment to park it here for this 50-year period. And by now you are all beginning to wonder how you will make sense of it all. How much crazier is it gonna get? It will become as crazy as you want. As crazy as you need. You will always have the opportunity to breathe slowly and deeply, to reflect on events, to put a smile on your face and say, "Oh, higher self, guardian angels, great fiduciary, thank you for assisting me, for keeping the threads woven together into a pattern that I can decipher. Thank you for reminding me to be calm. When my ancestors opened to these multidimensional realms and could not translate the experience into words, they brought their meaning into art. Thank you for allowing me to also bring meaning of this great change into my own version of a living art display. An art that allows me to express the feeling through dance and song of my becoming." The making of great beauty is at hand, dear souls. A beauty embracing a rare essence of existence that we don't want any of you to miss. Become the creators of your own divinely sovereign reality. 8 billion gods awake, alive, and buzzing, and let other entities in the multiverse wonder how you did it. As you switch on and take charge of your lives, you will establish a whole new experience of living where, with your courage to be unique and pioneering, you will debunk fear and lack as the illusions that they always were. The Aquarian age is an age where the gods will be seen to be everywhere, in everything, more gods than ever, because everything is Godshiousness. Family of Light by Barbara Marciniak. Chapter 8. Family of Dark. Caution. There are topics of disturbing sexual nature in this chapter. As pioneers in consciousness, you are on a journey that can change course quite rapidly. One moment you can feel in balance, as if you are on top of the galactic center, and the next moment you can find yourself in one of the deepest and darkest black holes of existence. When you move into the realms of expanded consciousness, many tests are required of you, and this journey will take you into some dark, foreboding places as well. Many of you may want to stop before you enter the dark caverns, as if entering would guarantee self-destruction. We ask you to recognize that darkness is greatest just before the dawn, and that the darkness holds many keys. We are addressing you as family of light, those who have forgotten their ancestral knowledge and are striving to remember. Your polar opposite, family of dark, remembers the invisible worlds and the teachings the ancestors passed down orally, or kept in secret books and texts and tablets, or carved in stone. Family of Dark have kept many secrets. In your mind, the dark holds secrets because you cannot see what is there. Explore the idea of opening your eyes in the dark and becoming comfortable with being there, being able to see in the dark and feel, and therefore accepting it. Some of you are terrified of the darkness outside your door, or will not walk into an unlit room. Your cities are so brightly overlit. It's a pandemic. You imagine all kinds of evil entities existing in the darkness. Your imagination is rich, and if it were equally as drawn to the light around the corner, oh, how you would accelerate your growth at a rapid rate. However, part of your psyche has a macabre fixation on the dark, both wanting it and feeling terrified of it at the same time. Welcome to duality. We will now point out the path of darkness that has been prevalent in the Book of Earth, a darkness that holds secrets that would stop many from passing through it. A darkness that is itself an initiation. And there is power there. We cannot call it a bad power because power is power, just like money is money, and technology is technology. Intention always focuses the use of knowledge, money, and power, affecting what you create. As you journey farther with us multidimensionals, the Pleiadians, the terrain becomes more mysterious, and the shadows can deepen, the crevices can narrow, and the sounds of unknown energies get louder. Imagine that you are walking by yourself into a dark, forbidden territory. Breathe deeply and tell yourself to relax, and then call to mind some of the heroes of your planet, whether fictitious characters or living people, who have faced challenges alone, who have met their own fears and moved through them. Let your heroes and heroines come to mind now, those who were pioneers in their own right, holding their own light as they bushwhacked their way through unique and unknown dark territories. Whenever you go anywhere new, you are bound to meet the unknown. The presumptions you apply to the unknown territory determine what you will experience. You cannot go into a higher frequency of energy without exploring every territory, clearing all the levels. Therefore, the dark side of humanity and the dark side of existence now call to you to examine and understand them. The dark side of power has many secrets. Hiding your inheritance as beings of biological magnificence, as well as knowledge concerning the power of your creative minds, the power to regenerate and heal yourselves, and to truly understand the processes and power of sexuality, birth, living and dying. The truths about these have been hidden from you by the dark. You must learn to stop fearing the darkness and to understand the wide variety of sexual expressions that create power, a power that rests at the core of your being. As your values change, you must recall the Divine Mother, the Goddess energy, for it is she and her love who is missing in the bonding of male and female. Her sacred place must be rightfully restored within your stories of courage and living and within your bedrooms. The divine feminine goddess can be seen in both men and women, although for external representation it may be modeled as female. Female energy has taken many forms, sometimes appearing very controlled, designed to please those around her, and sometimes taking on a ferocious, warrior-like quality, as in legends of the Amazons, the women who rode valiant steeds into war. What is your current understanding of divine feminine energy? Historically speaking, the goddess began to be banished at the onset of the Piscean Age. It was not until almost the first 500 years of this age that an agreement was finally reached honoring the mother of the Savior, the one you call Christ, a focal point of this whole Piscean Age. What do you know about Mother Mary? What do you know about Mary Magdalene? Where did you get these stories? Who wrote them down? Who hid them? Who passed them along? The story of the mother and child is ancient and actually dates back millennia through all cultures that knew the mother held the power of blood. Every moon she produces blood without wounds, and this came to be seen as dark magic. Blood holds the riches of everything you are, the sum total of your vibration, and certain rituals of the Piscean Age even decreed the drinking of blood and the eating of the body. They made it into certain religious practices too. What do these words recall to you? Yet we say that everything is coded with a deeper meaning and that there is truth behind truth and plan behind plan and lies behind the lies. Truth is always based upon your ability to move from contraction to expansion, from degeneration to regeneration. So, to expand your point of view, consider the unthinkable, the completely and totally ridiculous. And understand that to become informed does not mean that you are instantly converted. Although energies can be created through the power of sex, you experience sexuality for many different reasons. For most of you, there seems to be a drive. You say your hormones are alive and you seek a partner to create a release and exchange of energy. You receive pleasure, get what you want, and move about your business. You often do not associate what happens on a biological, cellular level with the sexual act. The act of sexual intercourse is a regenerative force, and the orgasmic experience can be used to enhance and build a much stronger auric field. However, the expression of sexuality can also produce something entirely different. When sex is not based on love, but is used for ritual, abuse, and violation and control, other possibilities occur. Some ancient cultures on your planet, especially in the East, were wary of sexual relationships during eclipses and new and full moons. They understood that the energies of the heavens influenced your own personal energy fields, which connects you to the etheric realms. They also understood that the astral realms were a place where beings can become trapped. We dare say that Earth is now permeated with lost and fragmented beings seeking wholeness who have collapsed and become trapped in your etheric realm. The energy of fear attracts these astral entities, and then you make a home for them in your aura. They are often humans whose spirits were fragmented by their own death. Their energetic fields shattered because they did not know how to die, or they did not even realize they did die. You have been steered towards fearful deaths through stories that do not unite you with who you are, and so you die poisoned, sick, and toxic. Any person whose death occurred in a violent sexual manner is a fragmented soul wandering the lower astral planes, seeking attachment and seeking healing. There is so much healing to be done. This is a vast problem on your planet. These fragmented souls are like parasites that are attracted to fear, especially sexual fear. Fragmented souls from the astral realms continue to pour down onto certain people. they become possessed by these energies. And although most do not even recognize their presence, their lives are changed. They may feel drained and depleted. Their habits suddenly become bizarre and macabre. They cannot sleep at night. They have headaches and unexplained body aches and illnesses and new and disgusting addictions. The minds of people in general are unsettled and becoming so readable to others that the airways themselves are no longer peaceful. And as you become more psychic, you will feel the restlessness. Fear is always used to divide and conquer people, and divided and conquered you have been for millennia. That is another test of this era. Will you gather the great oncoming energy and weave yourselves back together? Or will you splinter and create more wars and separations? There are entities that want you separated on the physical, psychological, emotional, and spiritual level. Vast beings, living for thousands of years, make their living ruling and parenting you, seeking their value from you, because you have considered yourselves valueless and purposeless, and you feed them with fear. Those who would rule you on the physical and multidimensional planes understand the power of your genitals to create life, pleasure, pain, addiction, and death. They use your genitals as doorways without you even realizing it. And recently, the minds of your children are slowly being influenced so that their innocence is siphoned off in an invisible fashion, and this too you do not even notice. It does not serve for you to be angry and to blame other people for what is occurring, for these are the signs of the times. If the innocence of the children has been lost, then look to yourselves and see what you have done to allow it. The mother and the child story that exists all over the globe is an important one for you to remember. Symbols speak of more than what is evident. In these stories, where is the father? In this day of cloning and new methods of reproducing yourselves, many people will want to regenerate themselves through technologies, through acquiring body parts, and through surgeries, plastic and otherwise. A tremendous misuse of power occurs with human embryos that are procured from your planet, as well as with people of all ages who just disappear. Some are taken off planet, and others go underground. A huge market exists in the selling of people around your globe. How will you change this? First, you must learn to value the life that you all produce from your sexual coupling, because if you do not value the life of your infants, they will never grow up to value life. Wayshores are repatterning many realities now. They live quietly, and you may never hear their names, yet they are pioneering new avenues of frequency and vibration, where the dark conspiracy stories of planetary, solar, and galactic control can finally come to light. There is no mystery to those of you who have spotted the clues over the years, the synchronicities that have shown you a bigger picture of existence, where everything is much more connected. Yet you have been encouraged to believe that nothing is connected, to understand the restructuring of Earth's frequency that must occur. You first must learn about the controllers of Earth, because the challenges you will be facing in the next few years will involve the darkest of the dark energies, the darkest dark before the dawn. Some of you will ask, how could things have become so corrupt? Well, how could they? There are many answers. Your challenge is to go from this lowest level of vibration to the highest, and exploring the dark misuse of power is crucial to take you there. You are re-gridding Earth and changing the frequency so that one by one lights go on and fields of energy are established. You must learn how to stop feeding those vampires who've been sucking your energies for thousands of years from the astral planes and from your boardrooms and political arenas, and from under the earth herself as well. Your sexuality and how it is used are the key elements. Many leaders from around the globe, particularly in the field of politics, religion, and education, especially in those areas that are purportedly dedicated to children, are part of a massive covert organization of pedophiles and sexual predators who use children for perverted sexual purposes. This can occur when parents are not in communication with or in touch with their own children themselves. But it often occurs because this inclination is passed from one family member to another for generations. This is one of the darkest secrets of the family of dark on your planet. The homes of the rich and powerful are riddled with this secret. Sex between family members, sex for ritual abuse, sex for the calling in of darkness and dark entities. Where no vibration of love exists, only a vibration of seeking power through fear. When we talk about power and darkness, do not feel that you have to run away from this realization to have light. You must learn about the power of darkness in order to understand these wounds in the souls of these beings who are desperately seeking something that was never given to them by their parents or controllers or by anyone else. Because of this lack of love, the practice stays in their bloodline. The only thing they are missing is love. All the wayward ones on your planet, whether murderers, rapists, pedophiles, or just plain mass manipulators, are all devoid of love, and most do not even know it. And so your task of healing the planet will grow greater as the dark secrets of the world's ruling elite families and their dark sexual occult practices now come to light. As we look at the Book of Earth, we see that in so many cases your ancestors made the same mistakes. They wanted the pomp and circumstance of their royalty that paraded before them, especially when their own celebrations and festivals lacked luster, and when the cycles of time and the meaning of light and dark, the natural modulation of cyclical change, were lost, and then they became fixated on chasing money and power. You gave your power away to leaders who in many ways felt obligated to assume the power that you pressed on them. They did not know how to generate it within themselves. Their fathers and mothers and grandparents were introduced to the mysteries and practices, which often began benevolently. It may be the same for you as well. However, on the path to power, when darkness crosses your path, you cannot run from it. For many of your rulers, who at one time were benevolent, powerful beings, when darkness crossed their path, they made an alliance to gain more power. They took on power over others through secrecy and lies and sexual ritual. And since one lie creates another and another, honesty became harder and harder to maintain. And within a circle of controllers, when they all hold the same secrets of sexual perversion, it increases their power and motivation. The misuse of sexuality is not new. Child pornography and child slavery, the slavery of men and women around the globe, and the raping of women and of men have been common for millennia. You have hidden the practice in your stories of Earth and do not study the subject in your classrooms. Perhaps you will consider studying the dark, having a course in your schools devoted to the dark misuse of power. As you educate your young, it is important to place the cards of darkness on the table. In many areas around the world, the dark forces are acknowledged and offerings are made, tokens left. Even in the practice of exorcising dark entities attached to humans, an offering of food or sweets are used to pull the entity into accepting. You relinquish your history, your story of the richness of living, and trade this off for meaningless texts that require you to produce meaningless data so you continue to live meaningless lives. You attend family reunions, picnics, and cocktail parties, assuring each other that you will continue to make more money and buy bigger houses and be good citizens. You drink and eat your society's poisons and laugh and turn your children over to Big Brother, mind control, world management team, where one does not think but simply performs at greater and greater speed, or they get eliminated. Global news networks networks and the media are all owned and operated by a very small group of individuals. True ownership of these enterprises is difficult to track because there are plans within plans and players behind players and companies hidden within companies, and nothing is exactly as it appears. It is time to wake up and realize that you are being fed information designed to limit and control you, to have you support and become part of the economic machine of death. As you continue to lose your vitality, you run from one so-called medical doctor to another, using up your insurance, your inheritance, to guarantee what? The sicker you become and the more you search, the more you keep this economy of death thriving. Do you understand? As we share this dark part of the story with you, such as the covert and perverted sexual practices of your rulers, it is not for us to name names. You will discover for yourself that in every country around the globe, those in the highest positions have been put there because they are qualified by their perversions to hold power over others. This has been a secret for eons, but today everyone is coming out of the closet, so to speak. Mayors are cross-dressing in public, and pretty soon you will have a president or a pope cavorting as a chorus girl. Everything has gone topsy-turvy, and no one is certain of what is what anymore. Your values are all askew, and rightfully so. It makes a good starting place. As you examine the dark misuse of humanity and how you have been tricked, scammed, and schemed against, perhaps you will throw out all the frivolous adornments and re-establish a value for yourselves based on your power as spiritual, biological, sexual beings. Ideally, this is the probability you will choose as the threads of change wind and weave themselves through the early 21st century Earth. Angry protests will continue to arise from people around the globe, and the energies will intensify to an outrageous state, energies that demand you change. There will be shocks and scandals, the likes of which you have never seen. Ideally, you will wake up and see that what is happening in one country is happening everywhere. In another age, the people were once divided by the Tower of Babel, when the gods came down and said, "These people are unifying, and pretty soon they will be greater than we are. Let us confound their tongues and divide them." And so the diverse languages were created. Today, few of you are bilingual or trilingual, and yet English has become the global language. An instant translation of any language into any other language is now de rigueur. And yet mostly you still feel isolated and compartmentalized in your own little homes, unconnected to your neighbors or anyone around the globe, yet you claim to be a global community, alive through electronics, as if the actual longevity of planet Earth, alive for billions and billions of years, is not even important at all. Remarkable. We ask you to rethink and reevaluate your lives as you are called to regenerate yourselves. You shall change. You will change. You must change, because it is the season of change. When the storms become dark, find your courage and face your fears. Ask for assistance from your great trustee, the fiduciary, your higher self, your guardian angels, who are always there and will help you find the dark and survive the encounter with unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness. If you run from the dark, you give it more power. The dark is empowered by fear. When you ignore practices that harm others, especially those of a sexual nature, then you uphold the acts of harm. Each of you is called upon to heal the human spirit, to make a frequency on earth where every newborn baby who will bring in the frequency of love they are designed to. Every one of them is valued and loved in return. You must guarantee that your children will not be violated and turned into mind-controlled zombies or sex slaves. Many indigenous people of your world were in touch with their multidimensional ancestors. They knew them through the dimensions, through time, and through their own blood. They also knew that they would live again and again, which is why in the development of their own cultures they planned ahead, often for 7 generations. Almost no indigenous culture had sexual perversions. Your ancestors understood that sex is sacred. And this is partly why the Darktilians have tried to destroy indigenous culture and spirituality. Family of light and family of dark do not have separate books of knowledge. They can each know the same information. In the near future, people will track their lineage in a much different way. Today, you track family trees based only on DNA. Yet soon you will structure yourself from a multi-dimensional lineage. At first, there will be many imposters, as there often are when the gates open to new territory. You will find wild, rabble-rousing multi-dimensionals who live free, yet rarely with integrity, claiming to be your kin. You must learn to recognize when you are being fleeced or had, taken or stung. When something appears too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Do not hold anger over these realizations. Do not blame or feel shame. Simply wise up and move on. Your world leaders have been controlling you in these ways for millennia. Today, there is a tendency for them to play with the dark out in the light in a way that is more audacious than ever. Why? It seems that in the Book of Earth that, without family of dark outrageously and preposterously thrashing every single one of your values and boundaries, you, the family of light, would never awaken. You would remain complacent, like sheep chewing your cud, never noticing what was transpiring. So the outrage, the insult, the shock, the distressing misuse of trust will wave their dark banners high on earth. When it reaches that stage, you can say to yourself, "Aha! The time is at hand." And once that stage is reached, know there is still much more to come. No humans live long enough or are quite clever enough to come up with these immense plans of control that have lasted for thousands of years. So when you look behind the scenes, you will learn about an ancient race with their own tale of division, a tale of secrecy and hidden power. They are the ancient reptiles, your ancestors, your progenitors, your kin. Reptilian beings have been ruling behind the scenes for eons, placing human puppets in front of you as their messengers. These puppets often do not understand that they are possessed and taken over by the massive manipulators. Sometimes, when they do discover that they are part of so immense and grotesque a plan, they feel shrunken and shriveled, even though they may be popes and presidents and prime ministers and kings and queens or others of prestige and power. They recognize that they are nothing more than mere tools, taken over because they made a home for these Darktilians through perversions, lies, their attachment to sex, their lust for material objects and power. Your world is full of dark control. A slightly different version today as versions go, but no real difference in its impact than the lessons that the darkness assists you to learn in all ages. Will you learn this time? It is one thing to read about outrageous scenarios in newspapers, and quite another to have them fall into your lap. Wherever the darkness finds you in your life, know that it comes in through difficult situations where your fear may rise like a wave of energy running up your arms, electrifying the stem of your brain, the reptilian brain, and shocking your root chakra, asking you to remember something. When this happens, know in the core of your being that you are part of a sacred plan, and that your chapter is now ready to unfold into the deepest part of darkness so that you can create change by shining your light. You cannot reach your true potential of light without knowing the dark truly. And the dark comes now in massive amounts, asking, begging to be healed. There will be a tremendous exposure of shocking sexual perversions because love from mother to child and father to child is missing. Genetically, you are dealing with the cleansing of a long line of humanity, generation upon generation upon generation of trauma. It is a challenging time in which you live, a challenge to examine how degenerate humankind's frequencies have become as a whole. The task ahead is to not underestimate the job, but to truly look at the darkness and see the work that has been cut out for you. The task ahead is to not underestimate the job, but to truly look at the darkness and see the work that has been cut out for you to regenerate yourselves and your connection to Goddess Gaia by finding out what is truly important. Shocking changes will create a destabilization of certain segments of civilization, and this is all meant to be. Some of you want to experience the time of light as if you were driving from one picnic to another. That is not the case. The issue of accountability must be addressed on your planet, not to blame people, but to teach them that at this time each person must be his or her own sovereign leader. The truth is that no one else is going to lead you. You are coming into the age of Aquarius, where the gods become visible, and there are 8 billion gods on your planet. Do not become frightened when your leaders fall. Do not laugh at them. Do not be disgusted. It is all designed so you can know the worst of the family of dark secrets. Parents sexually abuse their children from generation to generation because they do not know love. Love must prevail. You must clean your biological line, the ethers and the astral plane. All humans share the same ethers and astral plane. The new humans waiting to be born will only be attracted by a frequency that guarantees they will be cherished. Without the cherishing of your children, you do not guarantee the continuity of humankind on Earth. This also requires that you respect and cherish the sexual act. For the quality of your lovemaking will determine the frequency of the children who choose to be born to you. There is no escaping this truth. Your sexuality happens to be the seat of your biological power. It is through sex that you are born. As we have said, even though cloning is in vogue, if you were to jump into the future, you would see that you cannot create a clone that is vital. Clones are not imprinted with the vitality of making love, so they fall short of that own capability themselves. There are many cloned humans in your world, as well as many designed doubles. This practice has been in place for thousands of years and was initiated to replace those in power by lookalikes. Today, the art and science of cloning is more fine-tuned, an art learned from multidimensionals who have lost their procreative power. You may call them the Greys. And they have come here to secretly steal yours. However, those with true power need no secrets. True power is yours, and it can be shared and given away again and again. It is in the giving that it simply increases the power of truth. And by holding on to secrecy and hiding it, power eventually diminishes and shrinks and gets darker and harder. Accept your true power by accepting the stories of darkness, knowing that your ancestors faced the same challenges, although not as magnanimously as you do now. However, you have so much assistance. The fiduciary is there to weave you through a massive expansion of power. We are here to help you. Other multidimensionals, other star families, we are here to help you understand yourself that is so complete, so complex and awesome that it is as if you were growing from a seedling to a giant oak tree in an afternoon. Contemplate that. This acceleration of beauty and power is the inheritance that today's energies call forth from within you as you pass through new territories of awareness to grow towards the light that you so desire to be. The light that touches each and every one of you every day. Light, too, must be understood. For some of the gods play their tricks, you know, even with light. The solutions you seek will be found inside yourself. Your feelings about and responses to the shattering external world around you require you to rebuild yourself by accepting what is taking place. For in destruction, something new is created. The life cycle includes death, followed by rebirth, like the story of the phoenix rising out of the ashes. This understanding is an important phase of your development, and the solution is for you to weave together and make sense of the multidimensional perspectives you are learning. Make peace and gather with you your loved ones and friends. Honor and respect each other. Violate no one's territory, whether through word, action, or deed. Honor all life as you would be honored, and understand that the great wounds of the human psyche have come forward now. Traumas that are a legacy in your genes, wounds passed on as darkness, fear, and lies. All the wounds of the ancestors will now be brought to the light of day, and it will appear that the task of healing is beyond you at times, and that you have no salves or antibiotics or vaccines for the diseases of the mind that have been revealed. These diseases and discomforts have remained hidden for a long time, festering. As you search to discover their cures, do not forget that you are multidimensional creatures, and often the solutions lie not just in the physical body, but in the astral planes, those invisible worlds where beings are attached to you, where possession and merging occur like night and day. And know this. There is no greater healer than unconditional love combined with unconditional forgiveness, combined with unconditional trust that everything is perfect. It was into this timeline that your soul chose to be reborn, and when the darkness is the greatest before the dawn, know that this was your spiritual alarm clock So open your eyes and do not be shaken by the hooting, howls, and strange, ghoulish sounds you hear in the night. Go forward into the territory of the dark and hold a candle to see what is there. Intend to understand it, and then open your heart and know that the diseased mind within the human spirit is waiting to be healed finally. This dis-ease of the mind separates you from one another, creates violence between lovers, families, friends, countries. It is a dark violence that cloaks itself in secrets and controls the spirits in a way finer than any mind control your 3D operators could ever hope to achieve. The mind controllers of those who influence the psychic weather and all aspects of your economy, religion, education, and medical systems will be revealed because you are now ready to take charge and influence yourselves. And it is only by understanding how you have been controlled and influenced would you then dare to be in charge. As humans, you have so abdicated the power of living that you do not know that you are walking zombies. Those responsible for your plight think they are so much better than you. However, their darkness creates endless difficulties for themselves. And you, the family of light, must begin to heal these wounds because the family of dark is also the family of light. Your compassion and forgiveness must include an understanding of existence on a scale much broader than apparently separate 3D events. You must realize that the misuses of power are predominant throughout the eons and are all connected. The healing must be deep and complete. In this process, you will find your power and ideally heal your wounded leaders. And wounded they are indeed. Some will heal. Others will proclaim their shame, and once they have exposed their own darkness, become truly great leaders. However, most will create their own destruction, and you will then have to clear the astral planes of their fragmented, tortured souls and send them back to source. To do this, you will need to call out to the indigenous people who have kept their old healing traditions alive, sharing the teachings of their ancestors, the ways of the mysteries and of the spirit world, and the importance of balancing the light and the dark. The importance of the 4 directions, the 4 seasons, the 4 elements, the 4 times of day, and the 4 bodies that you all have. Your physical body, your emotional body, your thinking body, and your spiritual body. The indigenous cultures of this earth all retain their cleansing and healing rituals and practices, and they are ready to share them all with you. Use the ones that resonate the most. So it is the reptiles who are in need of healing in order to re-establish the frequency of love as the foundation of their own existence. We are not saying that all reptilian energies are rampantly evil, just as it would be unfair to say the same for all humans, although it could appear that way if one were uninformed about either group. We know there are many good humans, and it is time for them to awaken because they are encoded to develop the tests of their own power by healing the reptilians. As Pleiadian time jumpers who seek to know and explore ourselves, we have certainly looked into the dark, dark chapters of the much bigger book of existence, and we have seen these tests again and again, everywhere. They are different in each place, and yet they are all the same. The perversity, the charge of energy received from harming others, the fear is what keeps you separated. Usually your body's sense systems and the mechanisms for accessing higher, lighter, and ecstatic frequencies are closed down, nailed shut, with no trespassing signs. Those beings who feed off harming others, whether they are humans or multidimensionals, are feeding their energy fields through a limited channel, and this energy is not freely flowing to them. So when they seek energy, they want a lot of it, and it's usually through violence and fear. Those who create harm to others are starving energetically. Why? Because they do not have love and do not feel connected to Source. Without love, they are the walking dead. These are not gratifying concepts to hear about yourselves as humankind, yet we do not say them or share them in judgment. We see Earth and her cycles as flows of energy. Our intention is to let you know who you are, to mirror for you, and to document the quest that you as humankind have undertaken. When you are climbing a mountain, it is a very different experience than when you are on a flat plain. Climbing creates a possibility to evaluate the terrain from one point, looking down and back and looking up and over, and then re-evaluate it from another later on. If you stay on the flat plains, you can't see much. You are now living in the flat swamplands of Earth for the most part. There are much more joyous places to visit and exquisite times to be had ahead. However, the swamplands cannot be missed. The dank, dark energy must be acknowledged, and then you can decide to do with the swamps what you will. The ancient gods drained the swamps of Mesopotamia and created fertile lands for everyone. Numerous creative choices call to you. However, the focus of healing is the most important thing for you to embrace at this time. Massive unrest leads to revolutions, uprising, cries of vengeance and anarchy, and many leaders will flee their lands. This in itself is a very good sign. The people will find their voice. each country has a destiny. At whatever corner of the world you find yourself, with whatever blood is running through your veins, find the dignity to be proud to be human. You must love yourselves as a collective of human beings. This is the pride that you should feel about being a human from planet Earth that is missing from the collective vibration. We do not refer to an arrogant pride, but one that opens your hearts and connects you to all others. In doing so, you add the qualities of significance and purpose to your lineage and this particular chapter in the Book of Earth. Entities of different shapes and sizes come through the heavens, although the reptiles appear to hold your biggest challenge because they are behind the scenes rulers for thousands of years. They dominate the world management team and other structures you revere, especially those of a religious and financial nature. They entrain their participants to follow meaningless rituals and to teach their children to do the same. If you do participate in a ritual, make it your own and be certain that you understand what is occurring. It is so easy to siphon off your power, to have you say a few, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned," or a few hallelujahs, or a few amens, without really understanding what you are invoking. Soon, world religions will crumble and fall in the same way that all of your history books will be burned, because they are all lies. Unusual sightings in the heavens will continue, streaks and balls of light, comets, mysterious fires in the skies, unusual lightning, and other unexplained phenomena. We remind you once again that without the dark you would not see any of this play of light. The cosmic frequencies involve many layers of plans. You may ask, are these sightings natural occurrences or artificial? We would answer, the Creator is in everything. So, is anything artificial? It's all one. The frequency control of your mind will become a paramount issue of concern on your planet. How you are given visions through television, computers, movies, music, and through invisible microwave transmissions that influence your mind and your choices. Mind control will be seen as the ultimate battle with darkness. But remember, you are sovereign divinity. Even the belief in the ultimate battle with darkness is a lie created by the family of dark. As your world leaders reveal their wounds and tell their stories, and you see similar patterns from country to country, you may ask, how could this be? The darkness will grow and you will eventually see the 3D plan to control human thought, to separate compartments in your mind, as if you were to name each cell of your body and make each cell a different individual. Those who plan to control your frequency by fear would have all of those cells disconnected to each other, yet living together and never realizing their separateness and unaware of their actual connection. Because you separate yourself from your children, from each other, and you separate yourself from the power of your own genitals, and from wanting to know your power, you provide a fertile ground for the compartmentalization and control of your mind. Mind control is not new. Frequency control is perhaps a new terminology. However, mind control has been around for a very long time. You are controlled by stories. As you explore the ways your minds are controlled through overt and covert operations in your world, you will eventually understand the control that comes through the dimensions. What power, what occult inheritance, and what legacy you must overcome. The books of the ancients will have greater meaning if you do not presuppose their message. Many of these books mention arrivals from the heavens and hold many clues as to what you will face in the near future. Uncovering the dark in all of its awesome power will herald for you the power of the gods, and therefore your own power. It will be one thing to face the perverse practices and mind control of your world leaders and to take a stand and to demand integrity, yet at the same time to unconditionally love and unconditionally forgive all that which has occurred. Teachings from the dark side show you the traps to avoid with your inheritance of power. With this quickening, those people willing to be exposed at this time are on their own stage, mirroring for the world a new teaching, especially those who receive tremendous attention. Remember, no one is ever a victim. Although your conquerors would have you believe in your own victimhood, how else could they conquer you? In the biggest book of existence, and in your own book of earth, there are no victims. Only those who pretend they are. There are many who forget they are sacred, divine, and holy creators, who have only merely chosen fear and to forget love and to separate themselves temporarily. It's always the same story with different players again and again. Actually, in the broader picture, it's the same stories with the same players again and again. Are you ready to change the story? We ask you, with the courage of your being, to call forth the darkness that is waiting to be healed. From a place of love and courage, as the family of light, we ask you to send out a call and say, darkness, misuse of power, violation and perversion of peoples and the earth herself, it is time for you to reveal yourselves. And in that revealing will be a healing. So come forward, darkness, that the world may know you, and then we may know the light together and rejoice as one. This is a noble call. You're calling for darkness and misuse of energy to be healed so that all humans can express their sexuality with love only, so that all children are honored and given a rightful opportunity to initiate their own sexual explorations without having perversions forced upon them through ritual rape and violation or the media. Trauma can occur from media. It is in this very deep part of your procreative self, your sexual organs, the core of your being, that many of your problems lie. Problems so dark, so secret, that no one would dare speak of them, yet they must be revealed. To relinquish power over your sexual organs and to feel shame of them is to truly abdicate the power of life and being human. By power, we mean a sense of connectedness and accountability, the maturity to know when to express yourself sexually and when not to know that sex is a consensual act in its highest form, and that the creation of life must be lovingly consensual. This is another reason why cloning will never work. It is not a consensual act, and spirit is not factored into the process. You are unique biological human beings, and as we have said, the gods stashed their secret stuff in you, the best of everything. It is light extraordinaire that is in you and that you create. And by cherishing your genitals, your biological source, and by healing yourselves, the potentials inside you are activated. So we ask you once again to look at your life. What have you done to make peace, to find purpose? What have you done to throw out what you do not need and to release judgment of what you have done? As ancestors, as multidimensionals, and as humans in this and other lifetimes, what have you learned? Establish a value that will see you through the next stages of expansion and those of pulling together, synthesizing everything you are and coming to an integrated, exalted place of living. First, you must make peace with the sexual organs of your body, because it is here that life springs forth. You can be a pure wellspring for life, whether you have children or not, for your vibration acts as a source of life. By valuing your sexuality, you can re-establish the frequency of humankind and qualify to bring in those new high vibration children who must be guaranteed that they will be cherished as the ultimate resource of humankind. If only each of you had been given that guarantee, to be born in unconditional love as an ultimate resource. Sometimes what you do not receive yourself is the gift you give as your legacy. Raise your vibration at this time from the core of your sexual self. And most of all, seek to understand the power of your sexuality, to infuse its expression only with love. For sex without love is truly not worth experiencing. Each of you must come to that conclusion and hold that standard, and then you will create a new population of Earth, a whole new legacy as you bring dignity to the act of creation and dignity to humanity. Your creativity ends when you are in fear, and your power ends when your fear begins. There are many fearful experiences that you must face, for you must know the power that fear holds over you and let that power become your own so that you would wield it in a gentle way, taking one thing and transforming it into another, being alchemists and shapeshifters and shaman that you are. This task may have seemed enormous as you moved into the age of Aquarius, yet your success is guaranteed. When you look around your community, at your family and friends, know that you are all going through this test for a reason. Perhaps some cannot express it in the same way, but all of you are experiencing this same intensity of transformation. So find what you have in common and seek and offer love. Family of Light by Barbara Marciniak. Chapter 9. The Gift the Gods Await. Throughout the course of our journey with you, we have made mention time and again of the ambiguous group of beings called the Ancestors, who, as you have learned, exist in all directions, through time, through the bloodline, and through dimensions as well. Your ancestral lineage is not only comprised of your DNA predecessors, you actually burst outward like a sun with many rays, touching multiple realities. And this is part of the expansion of consciousness you are now experiencing. The spirit world is vast, and untold numbers of beings can approach you through the invisible domains. In the Piscean age, the spiritual world was thought to be invisible, which does not mean it was non-existent, for your ancestors all experienced this force, although each perhaps in a different way. Now, without miracles, mysteries, and secrets, focus on the electromagnetic spectrum, your scientific interpretation of light frequencies. Imagine yourself right now expanding and shifting along the entire spectrum, as your ancestors did, jumping from one point to another. The expansion of consciousness you seek calls you to shift to a frequency similar to the mysterious beings of the invisible world. Perhaps when you learn where certain beings are located on the frequency bands, you can dial them up. Then you will rename and readdress the whole idea of religion on your planet. Your ancestors were not always able to express in words their experience of jumping from a 3D perspective into other frequencies and then returning, or that entities from other parts of the spectrum could jump into their reality. It happens both ways, of course. Old manuscripts, certainly the book you call the Bible, and various disputed texts never shown to the public, hold mysterious references and enigmatic tales of interventions from a long time past, of events that are inexplicable from your current 3D worldview. Though speculated about for eons, these events were not directly experienced by your historians. Therefore, those who charted the history began to create their own interpretations. And then there was always translations of translations of translations, in order to understand the invisible world of spirit. You are now challenged to look at your founding philosophies on educational belief systems, and to generously consider that the interpreters of these experiences did their very best. However, what were their goals to be doing their very best towards? On one level, the world management team now controls the flow of information to your world. So if you really want to know the truth, you must dig deeper and move around the politically correct belief systems that police your very thoughts. Questioning your own trust in the institutions of so-called higher knowledge. Your religions have always attempted to control the masses by explaining the unexplainable. And as we look at the Book of Earth, we see that you have needed this assurance. You like mentors and teachers, someone to take you under their wing, whom you can turn to in your innocence, inquiring about the higher mind and spirit, the great mysteries and what the impeccable walkers of spirit world understood. Actually, you are gifted with a mentor, so we ask you once again to consider your very own personal fiduciary, your higher self, your guardian angel, the one who will serve your interests and show you the way, the one you can trust, the still, quiet voice inside. As you expand your perceptions beyond the flat world consciousness, you will have to reconsider all of your beliefs. And even those of you who have already reconsidered so much of reality, you too will be asked to go further. You are all called now into the home of spirit, which has been here all along. You have always lived inside the house where mysteries reside and are held in trust as part of your great inheritance. You will soon discover that this invisible realm is indeed visible and tangible. As you experience your new lessons in living, trust that events and people you would not ordinarily look up for yourself are written in for you by the fiduciary, sometimes taking you through times of a sudden, shocking, and surprising change to face what you would seemingly never choose otherwise. Based on your greater understanding of the purpose of living, you will now realize that you do choose what you encounter at all times, and now it is becoming heightened in order to pioneer a new way of being for you. To have journeyed with the Pleiadians so far, you must consider yourself a pioneer, yes? Starseeds, lightworkers, and wayshowers thou art. Even though there are 8 billion gods now awakening to their godhood, the process first happens to a few, and then, like the sun's rays spreading over the horizon at sunrise, the energy gradually imbues everyone. It is time to climb upward now, to head toward the peaks of your own existence, where you already know that your destiny is to live, to experience, and to discover that Spirit never forgot you. Life is so preciously significant if you would just notice. A massively alive intelligence surrounds you in the ethers and encourages you to go further and further on this journey. Once you have acknowledged the swamplands of difficulty and faced your fears, a very high peak soon appears in the distance, a majestic mountain beckoning you forward. If you wonder how you will ever reach this exalted peak, it will be with one step at a time. You are traversing the swampland, and you are discovering the dark territories that have held what you have feared and thought you could not face. And by now, you know that it was not so terrible. The lessons in traveling through the dark lands are that the light of faith sustains you and will never go out. And now you have the opportunity to climb the great mountain ahead that offers, at its peak and at many points on the way up, a much grander vista and view of inner standing. Imagine, if you will, 8 billion human godlings awakening, all with ancestors most certainly connected to all of you, as if you were, each of you, the center of a wheel with 1,000,000 spokes. Everything in life is significantly connected. The mountain that beckons you to climb its peak, you do not climb alone. You can only climb together. You and all of your multi-dimensional selves, too. At this point in your life, the thrust of energy is designed to take you into the home of spirit, where you will reflect upon your experiences and get a glimpse of your purpose for living. The vibration of unshakable faith is your golden key to pass through the dark territories. All beings must go through through their own darkness. Use it to take the dark energy in need of love and healing to the peak of the mountain with you. Take a fractal of this darkness with you that you love unconditionally and forgive unconditionally. Put it in your little heart pocket and bring it with you to the top of the mountain. This act of internal balance is, in essence, a spiritual quest and connects you to the gods, as if they had sent you a telegram saying, "You are called to our home now. Come and bring us the tales of your feats, for you have journeyed far in your reinterpretations of living. We would be glad to hear of what you know and what you seek at this point of your initiation. Bring the fractals of your fears for us to heal them permanently together." You are, dear friends, in a global initiation of realization, and once you have been initiated, you will then go on to show the way, to teach about the new territory of thought you have pioneered. However, right now you are still climbing towards the peak one step at a time. Your life is interconnected to the lives of every other human being. Yet, because you experience so little of the electromagnetic band of existence, you do not always understand the multiplicity of your dramas, which can appear to be isolated and disconnected. Remember, educational systems have been based on isolation and disconnection. Isolation from yourselves and disconnection from all others. Integrating and uniting with your own mental body, your physical body, your spiritual body, and your emotional body will connect you to the home of spirit. Be aware that the players in your dramas also experience something similar. All your 3D experiences offer a unique opportunity. Your connections to all of the people in your life, and the lessons in living and the dramas they are currently experiencing with you are parallel to yours to some degree. However, what you experience in 3D also ripples outwards into all other dimensions. You are a focal point in time because of Earth's destiny and what is occurring here. We sometimes call it the big cosmic show, that fleeting moment of time of 50 years between 1987 and 2037, where you move from the deepest of density and darkness to the highest of frequencies of light, and where you extend from 3D living to span the full multi-dimensional band. Another unique ability of yours is that you can manifest in a very profound way what the unawakened as of yet cannot. You are alive in an extremely dense timeline of existence, yet you are continuously flooded with the energy of the higher frequencies, which are based on instantaneous thought. Now, higher frequency does not imply something better. It is more like a reference point, similar to the way notes on a musical scale are used for describing vibrations of sound frequencies. In the same way, the color green is not better than the color yellow, or worse than the color blue. The lower the frequency, the less rapid the vibration of information. And this occurs within a timeline as well. However, when you start to vibrate more rapidly in the 3D world, you can span many realities and access great healing abilities from within. In general, you do not live for a great expanse of time, usually at best 10 decades. However, your ancestors lived for thousands of years, as written in some of the old books. Your ancestors, no matter which way you traced them, came from the stars. Even more than that, no matter which way you trace them, you will discover that your ancestors were reptilian. In addition, there are other numerous forms of star beings who parade in and out of the laboratory, offering their protocols and prospectus and DNA for the mixing and matching and new creations of humanity. Remember, you can be adjusted and altered by vibrations too, because everything is vibration. And in 3D, your lives are currently challenged by the use of mind control through technologies that can influence many areas of your lives. You must also take note that other entities, whom you cannot see, affect you through frequency modulation from their dimension, tuning frequencies that adjust to you on a cellular level. Comets, for example, and the sun, and the moon, and other planets, and other stars, all hold frequencies that modulate you in a particular way, affecting the expression of your DNA in the cells of your body and the rate at which you grow in awareness. One thing to be aware of is that you live on Goddess Gaia, and she is married to the sun god Ra Sol Kin Ahau. All planets and all stars are alive, and they all affect you. The purpose of life is to grow, to expand, and evolve. And actually, you cannot not evolve. The only thing that slows it down is fear. And whatever your fears happen to be, it's your own personal form of the dark. One collective global fear is that of being in charge of oneself. So you give others your power of decision-making very easily. And in their need to live up to your expectations, they have chosen a dark, dark practice of power. This is part of the hidden wounds that you all need to heal, and that you may carry with you up the mountain. The mother wound, the father wound, the wound of separation. It's all one wound. In one way or another, you are seeing a family member, a friend, or yourself challenged to heal the wound of human spirit. A wound that ripples throughout time and deep within the human psyche. A wound truly about separation and isolation from what you call God. Contemplate this thought for a moment. You can never be separated from God. Everything that exists is God. With this knowledge that we share, support yourself and your loved ones as you heal the wounds of the human psyche. Be encouraged to learn from their wounds as they mirror your own life back to you. Be encouraged to share the healing of your own wounds with others, so that others may heal theirs too. If you use the knowledge as a reflection on living and where the seasons of change can take you, you will find the hidden message and meaning of the collective human wound. You will take this realization to the highest places you can, and then finding opportunities along the way and on the many peaks on the way to the top, you will return to bring your insight and knowledge into the valleys where most humans still dwell. You will shine your light, and you will encourage them to climb the mountain themselves. And then the journey continues, for you are light workers, you are way showers. You are the star seeds from many realms of frequencies. The ability to transmute fear into love by finding the significant purpose of it on a personal and a communal and a global and a galactic and an intergalactic and a multidimensional level is another lesson you are here to learn. The gods, those who jumped the electromagnetic spectrum and left footprints of an enigmatic nature in your world, are waiting for something from you and are not even necessarily aware of it. Although in your spiritual childhood you consider these beings as all-knowing and omniscient, you must realize that they are not so different from you. Yet they have their own unique perspective on existence. The home of the gods is not necessarily a place where all-knowingness and benevolence exist. It is not as miraculous as you may think. Theirs is a different science, one you have yet to discover. Your science is based on demonstrability and repetition, on a conglomeration of theories and facts that, if experientially replicated time and time again, become foundational principles. Many scientists on your world, Mendel, for example, with his genetic discoveries, or Kepler with his astronomy and astrology studies, have pioneered new interpretations of reality. Today, scientists young and old will be awed and humbled by the massive reinterpretation of reality that is unfolding right now. You will find that the closer you are to the end of the fleeting moment, your lessons about reality mirroring itself, and that the part cannot be separated from the whole, will drastically accelerate. Theory upon theory, premise upon premise, and foundation upon radical foundation will be flipped over and discarded, and new ideas will continuously appear, simultaneously transmitted globally, so that all of you can catch them all at once, as you are all discoverers on the same points of light. It is wise to question where these transmissions come from. The gods, as we said, laid down their supply lines and stored their stuff and hid their secrets inside your DNA. A cache of materials they would need while under siege or while stranded in time. In many ways, the gods are trapped right now and do not know how to move beyond where they are. They experience multidimensional aspects of reality that is far more expansive than your minds are capable of experiencing at this time. They jump timelines and traverse existences with the flip of an internal switch and can appear as humans, a leader of a country, a movie star, a superstar, athlete, from any and all walks of life. Yet they do not have the imprinting of a birth resulting from sexual union. The amalgamation of the four bodies of the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, and the thinking bodies that creates all of your lives. This fusion of the four bodies creates a frequency that welcomes in new life and allows you to experience a band of existence, a perspective or a point of view that can never be attained without sexual coupling. We offer you a reflection of who you are so you can create new probabilities in the book of Earth. Probabilities based on exalted learning where you transcend limited thinking, turning your lessons into gems of living. You were born and created to experience the full spectrum of frequencies, from the most dense to the most high. And the gods knew this in their application of experience and ideal wisdom when they created you. The gods live long, very long lives, and sometimes they live with their lessons, their fears, their pain, and with repetitions of cycles much longer than you can even imagine. You may appear to live with greater angst and emotional dramas. However, many of the beings you call gods exist in a longevity of time that is immense. Some have become prisoners in their own minds. Prisoners of pain are some of your ancient gods. Various forms of intelligent entities will appear on your multidimensional horizons as the development of your psychic senses allows you to access the paranormal experiences and otherworldly domains. These extraterrestrials are connected to you, and not only do you broadcast to them, they also send messages back to you. The fractals of fear that you carry to the high peak in your heart pocket has much more meaning than you could possibly understand. Whatever meanings you hold today are fine, and yet the meanings will grow in significance and grow in time, backward and forward. You carry out a task for many multidimensional beings other than yourselves, and they send you solutions through your fiduciaries that they themselves cannot execute because, in their versions of reality, change to the degree that is required now is not as easy for them as it is for you. You are the agents of change, the boots on the ground, and the ability to change and transmute your lives is yours again and again to marvel over as you proclaim how well events unfold when you embrace unshakable faith and learn your lessons in living. There are no bad lessons yet, because you are afraid to fully embrace the dark. You turn what you fear and don't understand into deeper levels of darkness. Many humans stay in the swamplands for dozens and dozens of lifetimes because they do not have the courage, because of all of the fear they carry, to climb the mountain. And now it is time to transmute this fear into love for yourselves and for all of humankind, and most essentially for your reptilian creator gods, whose wounds, like yours, go very, very deep. Everything that exists is imbued with information and knowledge, and you are part of a huge hologram where one small fragment of anything actually contains the whole. And so you must learn to access the part and then understand that the part cannot be separated from the whole. Over the next number of years, greater parts of the story of existence will appear as pieces of the puzzle. Pay close attention, because as each step takes you farther up the mountain, each new discovery will be a thread brought forth from earth and the heavens, from memories on the corridors of timelines, weaving significant tales about the majesty of your lineage. The reptilian creator gods stashed their greatest victory and aspiration strands in you, knowing that when reality shut down and the potential gridlock occurred, you had been given the keys to unlock realities, timelines, and dimensions. Yes, these are lofty concepts, yet this is the quest you are on, which takes place from moment to moment in the privacy and significance of your mind. So breathe deep and look around, both inside you at everything you can see, shining your light, and outside you, knowing you are called upon to expand your worldview and to sit comfortably in the home of spirit and share what you know with your fellow starseeds. To hear and to see without judgment whatsoever, and to share the experience of what the world is like from other points of view as we all climb these peaks of existence. Those of you who are mountain climbers and advanced hikers know that when you reach the top of a mountain, The energies and the air are rarefied, and often great clarity instantaneously arises. Mountain climbers and hikers sometimes carry burdens or problems on their backs, along with their backpacks. And when they get to the top of the mountain and take off their backpacks, they suddenly have a solution. Mountains serve as huge antennas reaching up into the atmosphere, constructed of crystalline rock. Remember, your atmosphere is imprinted with life and living intelligent information. And so you climb the mountains to breathe that most precious air and to clear your head and to reach the peak where all existence can be seen. Can all humans be traced to one ancestor? Is there such a being? Some of your stories on Earth seem to imply as much, although there were certainly primary gods and secondary gods and tertiary gods in those laboratories. In ancient times, the ancestors knew that these gods battled in the heavens and appeared periodically in their ships of light, causing shakings and thunderings of the earth. Humans were obviously afraid of these gods, and sometimes they knew when they were coming and prepared the best they could. Huge underground structures were built long ago. Tunnels in cities in South America, in Asia Minor, and in China. All over your globe are yet to be discovered underground dwellings that housed many, many people, even whole civilizations. This should give you something to ponder. Why would your ancestors build cities underground? What beings periodically visited the planet, leaving their tracks and trails in every legend and mythology, using myriad names and appearances and cavorting in different capacities? The legends appear to be similar from continent to continent and age to age. These visitors literally exist in another dimension and periodically intercede in yours. And when they are invisible, it simply means that you do not see them, yet they are still there, and they can still influence your choices. As you climb, you will see that there are other peaks, and you will view the home of the spirit and the gods with your newfound clarity, eventually realizing that the gods and their families are very vast. In your myths of a single god, you have confused your god with the singularity of the force of love, the unified field that connects you and everything else to experience existence. Yes, you are all part of a presence, a hologram of omniscient knowing. Some call it Godciousness. The field of love that is in every frequency spectrum, in every dimension, in every universe. In essence, this field of love is both the ultimate source from which everything originates and to which everything returns. And it creates realities in every possible way. In your quest for a single God, you have interpreted to the best of your ability the phenomena of UFOs and UAPs and the intercession of the spirit world. Actually, forces from everywhere send you energies and often entities, and although sometimes they trick you, they also help you climb the mountain to view the greater vista of existence. How you respond is part of your living and the lessons you learn from one time to another. And how you respond determines the next visit you get. An immense mountain, a singular peak rising from the swamps, awaits you inside your mind. From the top of this mountain, the highest some of you will ever climb, you will see a vast expanse of mountain ranges and peaks that go on and on. You may then realize there is no one mountain or one God, of course. You do not have to climb every peak out there. In fact, you cannot. And yet, by climbing one, you can begin to see more, reconsidering what else is out there, waving to your holy holograms on those other peaks. When you reconsider your beliefs, your knowledge and purpose in living expands. Reflect on your life and honor every experience and every relationship you have ever had. Recall your mystical experiences and rejoice in them. Recall your fear-based experiences and love them. Do not hide your mystical experiences because you're afraid of being labeled crazy or insane. You are now challenged to bring those mysterious mystical experiences back to the home of spirit on your planet, because this is what is missing. The gods await your announcement that you have re-engaged the shamanic interdimensional realm. They know you hold the solutions that have been there all along, and that the frequency of love that you can create is the ultimate healing source for all of your fear-based experiences and relationships. Truly, dear souls, like no other species in existence, you have been gifted with this capacity for unconditional love that has always been there as a potential. Many of you seek to increase your potential, to raise your vibrations, which may include both mental and physical stamina. Yet above all, we ask you to seek out your potential to produce unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness. This is the gift stored within you that the gods await. They made mistakes. They need you to forgive them. This closes the circle. We must forgive our creators. They did their best. We're doing our best. This is the gift stored within us. How each one of us brings that unconditional love forward is individual. there are as many ways and varieties as there are plants and flowers and birds and bees and trees and 8 billion humanoid godlings. And yet it's all one unconditional love. It is important to understand that the act of transmutation from fear into love that you are called upon to experience is an act of divine love intended to heal all dimensions of existence. Time jumpers and your ancestors alike will send you bits of knowledge because your now is woven into theirs. However, you are the head weaver of the threads of the timelines, the one who is to decide which thread goes where, the one who checks the design to make certain that the pattern stays balanced and includes everything and everyone. Your ancestors often left their keys of knowledge in the patterns of fabrics that they wore, and in the weavings of rugs, and in the paintings on the ceilings, and other beautiful pieces of art and jewelry. Yet if you were to study them and discover the truth, you would find they contain hidden codes and meanings still yet to be deciphered, passed down through the timelines from other dimensions. Visit a museum or a place where artifacts are gathered. Look at them and imagine their timeless functions being reinterpreted. Perhaps the masks and statues, the tools and utensils, the dolls, the weapons, and everything else you see are now coming alive again, activated and ready to tell you a very different story than the one that speaks predominantly in your history textbooks. We ask you to look in every nook and cranny and open your hearts and mind to the idea that a completely different story of humanity waits to be interpreted by you. As Pleiadian star-seeded time travelers, when we enter your world seeking to discover more of who we are, we do so knowing that reality exists as a mirror, and that no single part can be separated from the whole. This cosmic truth seems to tell us, if the part cannot be separated from the whole, and reality mirrors itself, eventually everything becomes united and reaches a stage of complete self-awareness. Your theories about the formation of existence include the movements of a great expansion called the Big Bang, but this must therefore include a great contraction we like to call the Big Shrink. In fact, you continuously experience these movements from moment to moment in your life as you breathe. You breathe in the vital force. You fill your lungs and then empty them. Even though most of you breathe unconsciously, most of the time the message is still intact. expand and contract, expand and contract. Since you need both actions to live and to experience the fullness of existence, your job as family of light is to weave all the pieces together, to consider all actions, and when you experience an uncomfortable area, realize it is time to reassess your beliefs and assumptions about reality and to see them again in a completely new light of unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, and unconditional trust. The changes that are occurring in your world, changes of political administration, are always accompanied by a bit of scuffling, and your gods have certainly left such tales in your history books as well. It's true that galactic battles have occurred, and Earth became a sanctuary to some, a place where they have fled from great battles. Science fiction novels and movies about space travel, stories of the battles of light and dark, are part of your cellular memory that you are learning to understand and address. You will eventually discover an influence that is vast, so vast it will seem impossible for your mortal third-dimensional mind to fathom. Just as a mere 5 decades ago, numbers in the billions were hard for you to imagine. You will eventually become accustomed to and feel at home with the vastness of the spiritual domain. It is comparable to starting off with a simple computer program and then signing on for the first time to the internet. This aha experience will happen inside your minds. These times propel you to create new neurological pathways in your being, and what seems at first to be too much stimulation eventually becomes manageable with calm and focused breathing. Trust, dear soul, unconditionally that every species goes through a similar process of an expansion of consciousness when, and only when, it is their time. It's your time now. In many ancient stories, the gods fought their battles over who would be in charge of humanity, and many mother and father gods mated with their humans. These offspring created the demigods and extended the hierarchies. Often your ancestors built pyramids to delineate the levels of families of existence under whose influence they were subjected. Pyramids around the globe were decorated with symbols of serpents and stars and moons and suns and disks, all of which hold significant keys to your understanding of the vast intelligences who, at different times, have influenced you in different ways. The Mayan pyramids and calendars transmit messages that are unlike any other on Earth, by the way. And we remind you once again that just because you cannot see the gods, and they do not appear standing before you, does not mean that we are not here. In our own dimensions, affect you through the spectrums, an idea, passing ideas into your dreams, for example. The standards of your living are an essential part of the frequency you broadcast to all those connected to you. And we say once again that it is essential for you to influence your multidimensional selves by putting your frequency into the ethers. Your ancestors are relying upon you to do so because their wounds are ancient and need to be healed. They receive the transmission of unconditional love that it is time to heal their wounds now. We have already suggested that the frequency of love is the common frequency of which everything is composed, and that humans produce love in a very unique way. In the making of a very fine wine, for example, special grapes are grown on select land, and in specific cyclical season where all conditions are ideal, these grapes for making the most exquisite wine are cherished and harvested. You, humanity, all of you are these grapes whose season has come on a sequestered hillside, prepared and loved in this season of change to produce the most exquisite of elixirs and essences. Your human version of unconditional love at its finest is awaited, and even though it may seem to be a small crop at the moment, a minor vintage, so to speak, when you produce your finest and allow it to spread, in the greater book of existence, it ripples outward beyond your now, affecting the whole of everything. Everything is frequency, and it only takes a little shift in frequency to affect all other frequencies. So, as the vibrational frequency beings that you are, as you become more aware, as you transmute fear into love and expand your consciousness, you enter the home of spirit as people who lead people to lead themselves to love. Because the gods influence you, the energies of their unresolved family dramas are transferred as frequency to your world. You may say, "Are family fights not natural?" Yes, it is true, there are disagreements and arguments within families, earthly and non-earthly. However, violence is no longer necessary. Violence is the opposite of love and creates divide and conquer syndrome through separation and isolation and perpetuation of fear. The wounds of the gods, the wounds of separation, of fear, and of terror, of being alone and not knowing how to deal with it, are no greater than your own. They just have existed for much longer and have affected more entities. In their own arrogance, the gods have been so immersed in their power and their dramas that they are unable to step back and reflect upon what they have created. You see, empathy, the ability to feel for others and themselves, is unknown to these gods. And for you, it is one of your greatest qualities. Raising your frequency and vibration and producing your version of the vibration of love is based upon your ability to feel deep pain and transmute it, to feel fear and to embrace it and transmute it, to acknowledge anxiety and discordance and confusion and chaos, and to go into those feelings, survive them, and find peace within yourself once again. You will use this ability to recreate peace within yourself and in your life, to resolve all situations that could possibly occur. Many entities, and in fact your creator gods, await your courage to carry on with these momentous tasks, which you thought you carried alone as your own private fears, when in actuality your fears are manifestations of the great separations and wounds of the illusion that the gods held about themselves. Now, knowing all of this, and that the book of earth is connected to the book of all existence, perhaps you will walk a little lighter as you climb, straightening your shoulders and breathing deeper into your sacred body than you ever have, and saying, is this what's going on? Now that I know that the quest for myself is actually a quest for all of existence, then of course I shall do it. I must. It is my sacred duty. Remember that you have free will in each moment to create a unique and brand new version of existence. Yet those moments are also overlaid in time and can be looked at backwards and forward as if they were solid events having already occurred. Your free will can only be freely willed by you. Of course, destiny and fate exist. Yet some destinies are ignored and never chosen, and every moment holds the potential for you to think of a new option, to receive a unique idea in the fleeting moment of time. Using your will, entwined with knowing that you live an incredibly significant life, allows you to translate your experience into cosmic wisdom. The gods believe that they have held the truth for eons, as do the world management team name in the family of dark. Actually, all of their truths are very partially true. New philosophies and new beliefs, completely unlike anything that has ever been conceived, have been birthed. We Pleiadians do our best to name and describe what is occurring, nudging you in certain directions, shining lights over there for you to look. Over there, head that way. But we can barely scratch the surface with our descriptions of where you are actually headed. And like your ancestors, our words cannot actually describe the realms that await you. Yet our words deliver a resonance and a vibration and a hidden rhythm, like a drum, like a plan within a plan. No matter where you find yourself at this very moment, know that one of the greatest truths of all is that everything is connected and everything is love. Unconditional love is so unconditional that it even allows for fear to exist. Give up your sense of isolation. Give up your illusion of fear, discovering that no part can be separated from the whole, and that the whole is unconditional love. For simply by knowing this, you become part of the divine plan, and you will see plans within plans within plans. No force of existence can ever implement its plan without other options existing from which to choose. In order to transmute an existing plan and participate from a higher place of awareness, you need only remember that you are sacred, holy, and divine, and you can never die. Imagine the entire world and all of humanity knowing this. Imagine the whole of humanity awakening to the fact and the knowledge and the wisdom that we are all holy holograms, sacred fractals and divine sparks of Godsciousness, which is unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, and unconditional trust that everything is perfect.